Am I wrong for not housing my brother's mistress? Plus updates. Original post. My brother is 51 male, his mistress is 47 female, and niece 1-year-old. Backstory: my brother had an affair on his wife while they have 5 kids. After quitting his job, and they moved in with his in-laws. My brother's mistress got pregnant, and she also decided to quit her job, got evicted from her previous rental, leaving my niece homeless. My brother's wife decided to try and work things out, and I ended up having a lot of family pressure to allow my brother's mistress and my niece move into my rental to try and create a stable environment for my niece. Eventually, I agreed to allow them to move in, with a couple of conditions. 1. Pay $500 each month. Most of it goes to the cost of the utilities. 2. No dogs. The mistress quickly agreed, since the rent is extremely cheap, and let us know that she will be starting her new job soon. The first month I received half the rent, then the last 5 months, nothing at all. It's become a burden for me to keep them there, and I am working additional hours to cover the expenses, while my brother's mistress never went to work. I have tried to talk to them, trying to work things out, but it's going nowhere. So, I gave his mistress a 30-day notice to move. During that time, I found out she is pregnant with baby number 2. My brother's wife kicked him out, and he moved into my rental with his mistress. They didn't leave after the 30 days, and they ignored my attempts to talk to them. So, I served a 5-day notice, still no reply. So I went to the court and filed for an eviction. Since they were served, my phone has not stopped, as just about every family member has called upset. My dad told me to just finish it as he feels like my brother needs to man up and take care of his kids, both from his wife and mistress. And my dad told me to put my kids first. My mom, however, is livid. She told me that I would be responsible if my niece and the new baby will be taken away by CPS. She said my kids are old enough to understand mommy working extra hours in the name of supporting family. She feels like I should continue working overtime and paying for their expenses until the new baby arrives in 7 months. Am I the wrong for kicking my brother's pregnant mistress to the curb? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Wait. How pregnant is she? Baby is due in 7 months, so only 8 weeks pregnant. A lot of people barely know they are pregnant that early, and you only found out after you served 30 days notice. I mean, it could be true, but the timing is awfully suspicious. Is she really even pregnant? Not wrong regardless. This is all your brother's responsibility and not yours. You have already been beyond generous and got taken advantage of even at the deal you gave them. That's not okay, and you have every right to stop footing the bills for them. They are 2 adults who can figure things out for themselves. Mom is also the idiot. Why is it all your fault? If she is so concerned, then she can pay for them. Which is still a bad idea for her, but then no longer your problem. Yes, she is pregnant. My husband's theory is she got pregnant on purpose, knowing I wanted her to cover the expenses, meaning get a job or move. He thinks she did it to try and gain sympathy from our family. So wait, so they both quit their jobs and live with you without paying you or talking to you. And his wife and 5 kids live with your parents. What the heck is happening? His wife moved in with her parents. She became a stay-at-home mom when their daughter started having back-to-back seizures as the child needed constant care, however, with her parents' support. The wife is now working full-time at the front desk of a hotel. She is wanting to go to school in January to do respite care for sick children. They moved in with her parents when my brother decided he didn't want to work anymore. He has gone through jobs most of his life but always found a different one until this all began with his mistress. Depending on where you live, you might be stuck with them. In Wisconsin, here, I knew a lady whose daughter was stealing her credit cards, etc., and because mom had let her live there rent-free for more than 2 months, mom couldn't legally evict her all that easily. Or at least that is the story she told me. I'm not a lawyer. Where we are, it's considered month to month. A 30-day notice to end lease is required, then a 5-day notice if they fail to move before filing with the courts. If it all moves forward, they will have 72 hours to 30 days, depending on the judge. Is he the golden child by any chance? Not wrong, as you've done enough. They can all go live with mom if she feels that strongly about them being homeless. Yes, he is the golden child. Now for the updates. To answer a couple of questions, yes, she is pregnant at 47. I was there at the ER when the doctor told her. I also found out she wasn't using any birth control. As of right now, the court date is Monday morning. I should find out there if the judge will allow additional time for them to stay. In most cases it's 72 hours, unless I drop it or allow more time. Lastly, my husband and I have talked about taking the babies into our home, just them. It's a major change for our kids, and we feel like it's something we need more time to decide. Update 2. My mom showed up to my house tonight. It's quiet the drive and she has been crying. I invited her in to have dinner with me and my kids. Then after my kids left with my husband trick-or-treating, she asked again to allow my brother to stay. She said that with their health, they couldn't allow them to stay in their home. I told her that I feel like I am enabling my brother to not take responsibility for all his children, and I told her I am tired of working non-stop for someone who is more than capable of working. She left sad. I will see my brother for the first time since he was served tomorrow at court. It will be interesting for sure. I am a little heartbroken, but it needs to happen. My hope is the judge doesn't extend the time they have in my rental. I feel like it will just make things harder. Third update. Okay, so I went to court today. My brother and his mistress didn't show up. The judge did a good job and she ruled in my favor. Now my brother has to be out by Saturday. If he is not, the constable can remove him and his mistress on Monday morning once the courts open up. Everything was going well until my husband asked the judge if we are responsible to notify my brother of the ruling since he was not there. The judge said we could pay for the constable to deliver a copy of the ruling today. I gave the constable all the info including when both my brother and mistress would be home. After I left the courts, I got a call from my parents, both on the line. I told my mom the constable will deliver the court's ruling to my brother to give them the maximum time to prepare to move. My mom was just dead silent, while my dad burst into laughter. I was then informed the reason my brother and his mistress didn't come to court was they had outstanding warrants that I knew nothing about. So there is a good chance they will be arrested today. I can't enter the rental until next Monday. I will update then. That's if I am present when they go to remove my brother and his mistress. I was told today if they are not gone, they will have 15 minutes to gather whatever before they are removed by the police. Now for more comments before reading the last updates. Wait, they had warrants? Yes, they do. I had no idea they got in trouble. My mom knew and kept it from me. My dad, on the other hand, thinks this is deserved after all he has put his wife and kids through. I am not allowed to enter my rental until Monday, and I don't know if my brother will be out of jail by then. I feel kinda bad for feeling this way, but I hope I don't see him. I don't want any more drama. His wife asked if she could move into the rental since it's on the same street as my parents and her parents. I told her to let me think about it. She is an amazing person, but I just don't know if I want to rent to family anymore. It's been a complete nightmare. If you do rent to her, please make sure you have a solid renter's contract, and perhaps even look into a month-to-month lease instead of an annual. That way, if you decide to give her notice, she has the month to find a new place without complaint, because your lease is literally month-to-month at will. Now for the last update. Here is the update for this week. The constable and us showed up to the property. He told them they had 15 minutes to grab whatever and leave, and my brother went off. I sat in the car while my brother started threatening me. I have never seen him act so horrible, so I just sat in the car not replying. Then he just started smoking and not packing anything. His mistress was screaming from the house saying, "You told me I would never have to move. You told me your sister wouldn't evict me." My brother then slammed the door in the constable's face, locked it and refused to leave. At that time, additional police were called out. My brother's response was yelling that he was going to knock me out, that he has a gun and will use it on me. Again, he has never treated me this way. So the police asked me to leave and go get lunch in hopes they could calm him down. Nope, it didn't work. They had to knock the front door in, and they gave his mistress 35 minutes to pack things. She didn't, she just sat in their car mad. We changed the locks and cleaned the place up. Then on Tuesday, I got a call from the constable saying they needed to get an inhaler. I am not required to give them medicine, but I am required to give them their identification. So I drove 4 hours back, loaded all medicines in a box, put all important papers photos in another box, and told the constable I was ready. They showed up quickly. He handed them the boxes, and they had another meltdown, calling names and yelling more threats because they wanted to go into the house. I was told they set up secret cameras, and they were watching me, and no, I touched their stuff. The constable told them it was illegal to secretly record on private property, and they could go to jail for 2 to 10 years. My brother then started walking towards the constable in an aggressive manner, so I called the police. My brother told them to arrest me, but the police told him I wasn't the one going to jail. His mistress took the boxes and left while yelling. I know I have to see them again, but I am thinking about filling a restraining order against them. The police even recommended I do that. What the heck was the plan here? Let's just live here rent-free and bang, and pop out babies forever. Christ, I am not smart enough to have so many people stupider than I am. Drugs. My vote is on them taking substances. Cheats, gets mistress pregnant, stashes her away to reconcile, cheats and impregnated her again. Dude is just a walking bad decision. When my mom was alive, some extended family complained because she insisted on drawing up legal contracts for any requests they made, like borrowing money. Blah blah, but family, you know the drill. Only one family member ever agreed to mom's terms and paid her back per the contract. It made me realize that it's especially important to have a paper trail when dealing with the people I consider closest. My uncle would borrow money from family members all the time, especially my mother, because she was one of the most family people I've ever known. She'd get about half of it back before his excuses started. Then he'd start lying to her that he had paid more, and she'd eventually give up on it. Once I mediated between them, wrote receipts, kept tabs, made sure everything was written down. He got to paying half of it back, then started saying he had given money to my brother to give to her. Not to the person giving him receipts for it, but someone unrelated and knowingly unreliable. I tried to get her to take him to court over it because we had written documents and written receipts, but family and she let him off, again, for over $5,000. Be as hard as you can about your due diligence, but you also have to be willing to follow through on it. I love how the dad's response was just, finish him. Dad's laugh at the end was the cherry of this whole thing. Last story. Am I wrong for not wanting my ex's son at my Christmas? Trying to be concise. I was with my ex for about 7 years, never married, lived together the last 4, broke up 3 years ago. She has a 21-year-old son, Shane, who is now going to college in a town I have since moved to, that his parents do not live in, about 6-hour drive. We've moderately kept in touch since the breakup, mostly just when he reaches out to me. I would have preferred a clean break from both him and his mom, but have a hard time totally shutting people out. I have not even seen Shane in person since he was 18. Anyway, I got married last year and welcomed my first child 6 months ago. This will be my first Christmas with my wife and child. Shane was going to go visit where his mom lives now for Christmas, but due to a pending storm, it's uncertain if he will be able to travel there. So he called me last night and asked if he could spend Christmas with me. I was definitely caught off guard and told him that while it's good to hear from him, it will be my first Christmas as a whole family and would prefer to keep it to just us and maybe her parents who will stop by later. Shane was very upset, told me I was replacing him. I tried to reason with him that this is just what happens when adults move on in life. I said we could still keep in touch, but I wanted Christmas just with my family since it is our first one. He hung up and then later sent me a long text saying some not super nice things. My wife is glad I said no, but at the same time says she empathizes with how he feels and that I should apologize but not necessarily have him over, but would support me if that's what I want. Am I wrong for not wanting him to come over for Christmas? Edit to address common questions. Shane's mother and I were never married. Shane's father is active in his life, he just is often out of town. I had only met Shane a few times until he moved in during his high school years. He was very active in sports and extracurriculars, so he wasn't actually home that much for us to spend time together. Them moving in was supposed to be temporary after his mom got laid off, and it just kinda dragged into them staying. His mother was very adamant that Shane had a father, and she didn't want me to attempt to parent her kid. So while he lived at my house, I was basically an adult roommate. We got along well, but it was never a father-son type relationship. Now for the comments. No idiots here. I think everyone forgetting there's another person involved here, which is OP's new wife. If it's her plan to have Christmas with just her husband and child, it's OP's job to honor that. Plus, the kid's father is actively involved in his life. OP was never the stepfather, and it sounds like was less involved. I would be hesitant to invite someone into my home with a new wife and infant too. Yikes, dude. He was your stepkid basically for 7 years. He's stranded for Christmas. Would it seriously hurt you if he came for Christmas? I am grossed out by this, not gonna lie. If virtually anyone I have a stable relationship of any kind with asked if they could come to my house for Christmas, I would say yes. Because it's freaking Christmas. You're the idiot. I understand the gist of what you're saying, but the kid was 11 when they got together 10 years ago. They broke up 3 years ago, when the kid would have been 18, and have kept moderately in touch while OP would have preferred a clean break. Maybe this sounds terrible to you, but OP wants to move on with his life, and this was neither a bio or stepchild of his, nor did he raise the kid from infancy only to abandon him. Sure, he could let the kid come over, but if it's someone he's only moderately been in contact with for years at this point, why is he the bad guy for continuing to move on from that part of his life by saying no? Horrible situation, but I say not wrong. Not wrong. An unbelievable number of people commenting you're the bad guy don't seem to have actually read the post. 1. OP did not take on a father role. He was explicitly told by Shane's mom she didn't want that. 2. Shane's father was still in his life, and regarded by him as his father. 3. They weren't married, not that important, but people can't read. 4. Everyone crying that Shane has nowhere to go, will be left alone at Christmas, etc. OP states he could travel to spend Christmas with friends or family. 5. Lots are criticizing OP for letting the situation go on as long as it has, but then want him to double down and have him over for an awkward Christmas with a family he's no longer part of, and make it even more difficult to separate properly. Shaking my head. Yes. Also, why does everyone keep talking about a kid being left out? That's a 21-year-old adult, and it seems that they have never been close anyway. Oh, one more thing, I think it's rude to self-invite yourself. Let the other person know that you don't have any plans for that day and see if they invite you over. Not wrong, OP.